Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Icing on the Skate podcast. Yeah, episode 7, I think. Something like
Oh
that.
my god, he has no facial hair.
I know, right? It's crazy, isn't it? I look like a thumb. So, for those of you guys who have noticed the lack of ginger on my face, there's a reason for that. It's because it's November. And you know what November is? Time for Movember. So, essentially, let me just bring up my page so you guys can have a look at it. Chris, sorry, I'm getting your mug off the screen for a minute. Bear with me. My Movember page, Odd Man Rush. Hey, it's me. How cool is that? So, this is the Odd Man Rush Movember page. For those of you who don't know what Movember is, essentially it's a charity fundraising event that people do during November. I believe it's done in the US and North America as well. Yeah, because quite a lot of hockey players do it, don't they?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So, essentially, you start the month clean shaven, which I did. It's now the 4th, so I'm starting to get a little bit back there. And you essentially don't shave for the entire month of November and try to raise some money for some male charities. For example, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and poor mental health within men. Obviously, these are big things affecting men, especially things like prostate cancer and testicular cancer. So I decided to do it again. I'm hoping to raise about £100 this year. I've kind of done it on and off the last few years, but I really want to try and earn some money for a good cause this year. And plus, you get to see me have some awful facial hair as well. So you can't really complain at the end of the day. I mean, it's going to look as bad as it always does, but there you go. So there's my little shout
That's
out.
how we knew each other.
Yeah, very true. Feel free to go and check out the page. I can stick the link in the chat as we go along if that's what you guys would like. It's if I just bring up here, it's www.mobro.co/oddmanrush is that's essentially it. Is the link. So feel free to donate. I'd really appreciate it. I'm probably going to do a Movember live stream later this week, maybe this weekend, maybe playing some like NHL 20 or something, just chilling out with a live stream. So hopefully we can raise a bit of money for a good cause. Anyway,
Yeah.
Icing on the Skate podcast, Chris.
You can donate money to him and then wear him down, and 2 years later you'll be on his podcast every week. Which is basically that's how we started, because I watched your Movember live stream 2 years ago.
Oh, was that the first one? I thought it was the EIHL videos I did on my channel.
Well, that's how I first
I
started
didn't
watching
know
you.
that.
And your first stream that I watched was the Movember one, and I donated, and then we played NHL 18. NHL 18.
See, there you go, folks. There you go.
And it was 8-6. You won 8-6.
Damn right I did. Don't you forget it.
And then just on from that, and then I invited you to the Lions, and it just went on from that. That's been like a year and a half now.
That's crazy. I mean, well, if it was November live stream, yeah, it's 2 years ago. That is nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot can change in 2 years, folks.
You came to the Lions a year and a half ago.
To think 2 years ago I didn't know this geezer. Now I can't bloody get rid of him. So, let's actually talk about the podcast stuff. We've kind of got some stuff to talk about.
Do we have to?
Yes. We weren't here last week, obviously. Let me know if there's any echo on Chris's end. I should have sorted it now. That's why I'm wearing the headphones, so it goes through here and not my TV. But anyway, we got some stuff to talk about with the Elite League this week. Some suspensions, some results. Let's just talk about the results this week, Chris. I don't want to go through the week that we missed. The one thing I will say about the week that we missed, congratulations to Jonathan Phillips, first player in Elite League history to hit 1,000 games in the EIHL. So, big congrats to him. It's an incredible achievement, and he's a solid player, always been a gentleman in the game, always. So anyway, well done to him. Chris, take us through the games that took place this last weekend and week.
Okay, well, we had a full quota on Wednesday, the 30th of October.
Yep.
So starting in the Challenge Cup, Steelers 8, Storm 2, and Devils 5, Blaze 4 in a shootout. In the league on the Wednesday,
I know, it keeps disconnecting. It's such a pain. Right. I think we're back. Yeah, it looks like it's re-establishing itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're back.
Okay.
Yes, we are back.
Sorry, Chris.
Okay.
Go from the beginning again, because we lost some of it. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. So, I'm gonna do all the Challenge Cup first.
Okay.
So, Challenge Cup in October on the Wednesday was Steelers 8, Storm 2, Devils 5, Blaze 4 in a shootout. And then over the weekend, it was Panthers 4, Storm 1 on the Saturday, and Storm 1, Panthers 3 on the Sunday.
Okay.
In the Elite League on the Wednesday the 30th, it was Panthers 5, Stars 2, Flames 2, Clan 1 in overtime, Flyers 1, Giants 4. And then on Saturday, it was Steelers 5, Flames 3, Clan 3, Stars 2, Giants 4, Blaze 1, and Flyers 5, Devils 1. And then on Sunday, it was Stars 2, Devils 4, Blaze 3, Giants 6, and Flames 4, Steelers 2.
So, how does that leave the league standings and the Challenge Cup standings? We're of course going to go into Challenge Cup in a lot more detail in a moment, but talk us through the league standings for now, please, Chris.
Okay, league standings. So top of the table are the Sheffield Steelers with 18 points, but they have played 14 games, which is more than anyone else bar Dundee.
Okay.
In second place are the Belfast Giants, also on 18 points, but they've only played 11 games.
Yep.
The Glasgow Clan are in third. They're on 17 points from 12 games. The Cardiff Devils are in fourth, 14 points from 10 games. The Coventry Blaze are in fifth with 14 points from 13 games. The Five Flyers are in sixth with 13 points from 13 games. The Guildford Flames are in seventh with 12 points from 12. The Nottingham Panthers are in eighth with 11 points from 13. And the Dundee Stars are in ninth, outside the playoffs on 7 points from 15. And the Manchester Storm are bottom of the table at the moment with 7 points, but they have only played 11.
So most of the teams have played about 12, 13 games at this point in the season. Belfast doing a fantastic job to start this season. They've scored a fair amount of goals, not quite the tops. Sheffield are really taking away the most goals category at the moment. Obviously, they've played 3 more games than Belfast, so that definitely helps. But also,
Belfast are on a 6-game winning streak.
Well, there you go. And I was just going to mention, they've allowed just 23 goals this season.
Yeah.
Which in 11 games, they're averaging, 2 goals a game? Maybe a little bit more?
Yeah.
Which is super impressive. And they've got points in 80% of their games so far this season. They've lost 3 games and only 1 of them in regulation out of 11. Like, it feels like we're talking about the Boston Bruins now, doesn't it, Chris?
It does a bit, doesn't it? Yeah, it does a bit.
So, obviously Manchester down in the bottom, but they do have a couple of games in hand on some of those higher teams, but they're only on 7 points. So the Manchester Storm taking a pretty noticeable step back this year, which isn't good.
Well, even winning those 2 games in hand they've got over Nottingham, because Nottingham have got more wins, they wouldn't leapfrog them into the playoffs.
I've just noticed the Storm the Storm only have 1 win in regulation.
Yes, that
was
in the league. That was against Dundee on September the 7th.
Wow, it's been a while.
The very first game.
That's ridiculous. Wow.
They've had 2 home Challenge Cup regulation wins over the Sheffield Steelers.
Yep.
And that is it. So they've had, in total, this is in all competitions, 3 regulation wins, 3 overtime or shootout wins, 1 shootout loss, and 12 regulation losses.
That is brutal. Some stuff's going wrong in Manchester, isn't it?
It seems that way.
I feel like Manchester have always kind of had this reputation, but I feel like this year more than most, they've really taken on the reputation of being like the goon team of the Elite League. Is that an unfair statement? I don't feel like that is.
I mean, I've not been keeping a tally of penalty minutes.
I mean, we're going to talk about one specific player who got himself into a little bit of trouble.
That's on the bottom of the document is total the team penalty minutes.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Might be interesting.
It's
easy to do.
Because if you think about it, if we go to... So I'm on Chris's document that he's made. Penalty minutes wise, Gagnon's got a huge amount. We're going to talk about him later.
Well, naturally, yeah.
Yeah. But
you've got Gruel's got 26, Earnhardt's got 32.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players who have... Obviously, Gagnon got, 25 million? 60,
Yeah, pretty much.
Kyle Hope's got 31. And a lot of them are from... I mean, like, Kyle Hope, for example, got 17 last night against Nottingham. They're all coming in...
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Gagnon got, 47 against Sheffield.
Yeah,
so...
he got a lot of penalty minutes. So that's how the league standings look like. Of course, we didn't update it yesterday, or last week, I should say, but those are the standings as we see them now. So remind me, Chris, how many games do they play this year? Is it 50?
54.
54. So we're about a quarter of the way into the season then, just over. So we're about 25-30% into the season, roughly something like that. So we've still got a lot of hockey left to play, but we're now starting to see the positionings in the league take place, you know? Of course, I think the positionings in this league are going to be vastly different, but we're starting to see the bottom of the standings kind of rear their ugly heads. Not so much the top of the standings yet, of course, because we've still got some teams with several games in hand, but we're starting to see it take shape, you know?
That are causing the issue at the moment.
Yeah.
The worry, well, you can tell that the bottom of the table is starting to sort itself out because Dundee are joint bottom of the table and have played more games than anybody else.
Absolutely. And of course...
And I mean, they can find themselves, 8 points outside the playoffs at this early stage. So...
I mean, not to like have a go or be against the Dundee Stars, but they're kind of a team you expect to be down that area, given the lack of budget and compared to some of the other teams, the basically how big their franchise network is and everything like that. But fair play to them, they're doing very well in the Challenge Cup at the moment. So
well, I mean, they've only got 17 skaters, so
exactly. So they're very much a depleted lineup compared to the rest of the league. Not just a couple of teams, but the rest of the league. But anyway, that's the standings. Let's talk about the Department of Player Safety.
Everybody's favourite.
Absolutely. So, we've got a couple of things to talk about. We'll start with the one that was earliest, if you know what I mean. It took place 6 days ago, Tuesday, October 29th. The Cardiff Devils, their player, is he forward or defence? I can't quite remember. Defenceman.
Jardine.
Yeah. Defenseman.
He is. I've lost him. Yes, he's a defenseman.
He's a
number
defenseman.
77.
I found him. Don't worry. So, Cardiff Devils defenseman number 77, Sam Jardine, was suspended 2 games for elbowing in a game against the Guildford Flames on the 27th of October 2019. Now, the key references that the Department of Player Safety article on the Elite League website says it was an elbow. Having watched it, yeah, it was. Contact to the head of opposing player. Yeah, I mean, there was. It was categorised as endangering. Yeah, I could see that. And it was also categorised as reckless. Yeah, I mean, I would say it is. Essentially, 2 players battling for the puck. Jardine's actually in front. They're kind of tangled up a little bit. Jardine just decides to throw a right elbow into the face of the Guildford Flames player. And he gets 2 games for it. 2 game suspension. Chris, have you seen it? Have you seen the footage of it?
Yes, seen it, watched it. Yeah, watched it when it came out and then reminded myself of it just before we came on air.
Yeah.
Blatantly obvious elbow.
Yeah, absolutely.
The suspension has been served.
Yep.
It was served the home game on October the 30th. That was the Wednesday night. And then Saturday night away at Fife. So he was back in the lineup for the away game in Dundee.
Okay.
So yeah, the suspension has been served, but you can't get more blatantly obvious of an elbow than that one. Really.
I was going to say, like, we could talk more about this, but there really isn't much else to say. It was such a blatant elbow. Call. No, exactly. Which is where we go on to the next Department of Player Safety call. Or
here we go.
Calls. So, everybody take a deep breath. This is going to be a bit of a long one.
Then, I remember talking to Jono about this when it came out, and this was basically Department of Player Safety, publish their ruling, and you just sit back and just watch Twitter.
Yeah, just watch the storm on Twitter.
Funny.
Quite literally, because the Manchester Storm. So, a game between the Sheffield Steelers and the Manchester Storm, the night before Halloween, the 30th of October 2019. There was an incident that took place during the second period at 33 minutes 25 seconds to be exact. There was an incident that took place between Michael Davis and Matthew Gagnon. Chris, do you want to take us through this? I've watched it, but have you watched it?
I've watched it. Watched it. It was a couple of days ago.
Okay, so I watched it last night. If you want me to do it, or it's
you do it. I can vaguely remember, but you'll know in better detail.
Okay, so the Manchester Storm had the puck in the Sheffield Steelers zone. One of the Manchester Storm player, I can't remember who the player was, had the puck and was going to skate behind the Sheffield Steelers net. Gagnon is set up in front of the net, ready for a pass, a tip-in, anything that he can. He's basically set up, ready for the puck to come towards him, for them to then tap it in, score a goal for the Storm, right? Michael Davis decides, I'm going to skate right up behind Gagnon. He has no idea that I'm there. I'm going to, extend my right leg and try to sleuth at him, essentially. That's what the Department of Player Safety said.
It looked like a slew foot.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem for Michael Davis is that Gagnon didn't actually fall over.
Absolutely. The question was, was it a slew foot or was it more like he was trying to engage, tangle up with him? But I think with the fact that...
it was an intended slew foot.
Yeah, the fact that the leg was extended and it kind of crossed knee to knee almost. He wasn't going that fast to Gagnon, but because they got tangled up in that way, it became a slew foot attempt. Gagnon managed to stay on his feet. Then Gagnon
was stationary.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy with that, as you wouldn't be surprised with an enforcer in the league like Matthew Gagnon. He goes, Davis, come on, what you playing at? He decides to throw his gloves off and start punching Michael Davis, right? Michael Davis immediately goes down, puts his back down, basically goes into a right angle to be like, I don't want to engage in this. I'm being punched in the face. Get off me. They then go barreling into the Sheffield Steelers net. Obviously, a big crowd ensues. After that takes place, both of the players get split up. Gagnon gets kicked from... I should
point out, Gagnon keeps punching him in the back of the head while he's in the net.
Yes, that he keeps trying to throw punches. I mean, it's difficult to throw punches when they're both on the ice, but he was still at least trying. Whether any connected, I don't know. Yep. But the fact was, he was still intending to punch him. So then the players both essentially get ejected from the game, I would imagine. Did Davis get ejected from the game? I'm not quite sure.
Yes,
he did. So both players got ejected. Gagnon, as he's skating off, unbuttons his helmet, throws it on the ice, towards the bench, towards the two benches.
The players' benches. Yeah.
Davis, very interestingly, never seen this one before. He finds Matthew Gagnon's glove that he had thrown down when he was trying to punch Davis. He then has some blood on his face from, being punched, and proceeds to use the glove to wipe the blood off his face, and then kind of toss the glove near the Manchester Storm bench. So, as a result of all of that, Michael Davis has been suspended for 6 games. And Matthew Gagnon has been suspended for 5 games. Now, I'll explain as to why these suspensions took place and why it's 6 games and why it's 5 games. So, Davis gets a 1-game suspension for the slew foot. Okay?
Yes.
So, the slew foot that initiated the entire contact, 1 game. The picking up the glove and kind of licking it and everything like a cat, 3 games. So that makes it 4 games.
Yeah.
Then... because he's a repeat offender, if those of you remember who've been watching the podcast for a while, he then decided to go, let's throw a goal peg into the crowd.
It was the goal. He has a thing with throwing objects, doesn't he?
He has a bit of a temper tantrum, this Michael Davis. I'm not going to lie. He reacts with his emotions a little bit too much and gets a little bit childish with things, I would imagine. First it's a goal peg, then it's another player's glove. Come on, dude. The actual, using the other player's equipment was considered, disrespectful to the sport, and he clearly had no respect for his own health. I mean, you don't know what's going on underneath that glove, I don't know.
Somebody else's sweaty glove.
Absolutely, that's the last thing I'd want. He gets 4 games for the actual incidents in the game, and because he's a repeat offender, he gets an extra 2 games. And he's also been fined to the value of the replacement for the equipment as well. So he's been fined for a glove. I love that. I love that he's been suspended 6 games and the cost of a glove. Not even two
Yep,
gloves,
so-
just one.
So he will return on November the 23rd for the Sheffield Steelers home game against the Nottingham Panthers.
So he basically misses most of the month.
Yeah,
which
so he
is not good.
misses. So he missed the 2 games against Guildford this weekend.
Yep.
Cardiff away, Manchester away, Coventry at home, and Glasgow away.
How many points has Davis got so far this year?
Davis has quite a few points actually. He has 8 goals, 10 assists. He is +4 and with 32 penalty minutes. Bearing in mind 22 of those came on that game.
Okay, so he's clearly a productive player for the Steelers. Why is he being so childish? Anyway, now Gagnon, let's just wrap this up before I get your thoughts on this, Chris. Davis suspended 6 games, Gagnon suspended 5. Now, the 5 for Gagnon, essentially the punching that he made towards Davis and punching him in the face, making him bleed in order to use the glove to wipe it off. Disgusting, anyway. So, him with the punching, that was considered a one-man fight because the other player very clearly did not want to engage in a fight from that.
Even though he started it.
Even though he started it with the slew foot, I get...
Yeah, but it was the slew foot, and then he had a couple of jabs at him with his stick. He had a couple of cross checks
a couple of cross checks towards his lower back, I believe. So he decided not to fight, which is a bit of a poor move, in my opinion. Steelers fans want to kill me for that, but you know. So Gagnon, it was considered a one-man fight because Davis didn't want to engage in the actual fight. So he got a 2-game suspension for that. And then the extra 3 games come from throwing the helmet towards the benches because they considered that similar to the using the glove. It was not in good sport. It was disrespectful. And you just got to, like, get over it. Like, stop being babies. You're grown men. Like, this is stuff you see in Pee Wee hockey. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So 6 games, 5 games. I saw a lot of Steelers Twitter going crazy about this. Oh, Gagnon should have got more. He punched our guy in the face. And then you get the Storm people like, oh, Davis should have got more and Gagnon should have got less. Chris, what do you think?
Everyone's always going to be biased towards their own team.
Oh, of course.
I'm so glad that I'm not a member of DOPS because
Absolutely.
I want to have a look at that situation. But I think you've got to break down everything basically,
which I think they did a really good job of doing in their explanation.
Which I think they did as well. So everyone's like, oh, it should have been this, it should have been that. DOPS were absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I will explain why. Firstly, Davis got 1 game for the slew foot.
Yep.
Everybody else has got 1 game for the slew foot.
Absolute consistency there, for sure.
Perfect consistency. The 2 games for being a repeat offender is in the Elite League casebook.
Yep.
Again, absolutely right.
Yep.
And then for the things that they did which they didn't have to do, i.e. the wiping of the blood and the throwing the helmet, they both got 3 games, which was exactly the same.
But, so, this is the bit that interests me. It's absolutely right that they should get equal. 3 games kind of surprised me a little bit. Like, I understand why they got 6 and 5 games for the whole incident in total, but 3 games kind of was like, wow, okay, like, that's quite a few games for something so trivial. I get their justification that it's something that completely, like, never happens in a hockey game. It shows disrespect to the sport and to the other players on the ice and to the officials and everything like that, and it's not a good showing for the fans in attendance. I was just kind of confused as to why it was 3 games. What do you think, Chris?
I think it's a case of, or kind of, this is something that we really don't want to see.
Okay.
And if you are going to do it, we're going to basically not, we're going to suspend you for a decent length of time, and it will hopefully deter people because nobody wants to see helmets being chucked everywhere and people doing that with blood and stuff because it's just
goal pegs being thrown into the crowd.
Yeah, it's just not
Michael Davis.
It's not what the sport should be about, and it's not going to help it grow and reach new audiences and all the rest of it.
It's just going to get negative press, isn't it? Which is exactly the least thing we want with the sport in this country.
This game wasn't.
No.
But what if that was on the Free Sports game?
Yep.
And they're trying to get new audiences in, and people watch ice hockey for the first time, and they see that.
It'll be very polarizing. Some people will be like, that was great. You never see that in any sport. I want to watch more, because they'll be expecting more of that to happen. It's not the 60s anymore. We're not the Broad Street Bullies, so that doesn't happen very often. Or they're going to be like, that's disgusting. I never want to watch this again. So it kind of has a negative effect either way.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why the suspension is so long, because it will deter anybody else from doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when is Gagnon back in the lineup then?
Gagnon is back for the game on November the 17th, which is a week on Sunday, away at Guildford. He misses Dundee away, Sheffield at home, and Cardiff at home.
Well, it's a good thing they're both missing the Sheffield-Manchester rematch.
Yeah.
However, I feel like that might bleed over into some of the other players. I guess we'll have to find out.
It might do. I mean, those two sides don't face each other again until Boxing Day.
Okay, I see. Which will be fun.
From when they're back, so...
Okay. So, those are the Department of Player Safety calls. We've talked about them in quite a lot of detail, because that one was quite a big one. So, we'll move on to some of the player transactions, signings, releasings, moving ons, coming ins, kind of thing. So, one player coming into the league, as far as I'm aware, and that is Julian Talbert for the Nottingham Panthers. So, the Canadian forward who was playing for Crimmitschau of the DEL2. He had 7 points in 7 games in the DEL2. 34-year-old forward, I should add. He has now joined the Nottingham Panthers. He joined them, or the news broke on the 28th of October, so last Monday. He's had 27 Champions Hockey League games over his spell in the Austrian and German leagues. He spent 4 seasons in the EIHL. He's won a DEL championship, I believe, with Eisbär in Berlin. I think that's the photo they went with, the Panthers website. So, Chris, he's obviously played this weekend, because the news broke last Monday. You were at the games. How does he look so far?
Well, I was only at the Saturday game
Yes, you're right, yeah. So how did he look?
He looks very, very good.
Okay, good.
He was completely robbed by Matt Ginn on his pretty much his first shift. I think it was his first shot. I can't remember if it was his first or second shift. I think it might have been second.
He might have been going for some Mario Lemieux stuff there. First shot, first shift, first game.
Absolutely robbed, and he's quick. He's very good in the face-off circle.
Okay, good.
That's the best. Those are the best face-offs that Panthers have had so far this season by a long way. Yeah, they were the game against Manchester on Saturday night. Just one of the reasons that they ended up winning was because of the face-offs.
Okay.
It was so just get in the zone and could just stay there.
Yeah.
And then he carried that through into Sunday because he got 2 assists on Sunday.
There you go.
But he looks to be a very good signing. When I spoke to Tim on Saturday evening, he really liked how his first game went. Again, he was talking about the speed and the face-off wins as well. So hopefully he'll be a bit like Jake Hansen and just keep scoring. I mean, Jake Hansen's now got 8 goals in 8 games for the Panthers.
He's played 8 games already?
He's played 8 games already.
Wow.
And he's got 10 points, which the slightly annoying thing is that he's got more points in 8 games than 90% of the team have all season.
But it goes to show you they made a move quick enough in the season that it could pay dividends later down the line. So
yeah,
that's
and
good.
Panthers have now won 3 in a row for the first time since the very start of the season.
2 of them being Challenge Cup games, right?
No, so it wasn't quite the very start of the season. It was September.
I mean these ones, the 3 straight.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Talbot joins the Panthers. Chris says he looks pretty good, so there you go.
He does.
Now, so we've mentioned a player joining. Let's talk about a player leaving. So we had this announcement apparently only a couple of hours ago, 5 hours ago to be exact, on the Elite League website. I think it broke on Twitter slightly earlier than that. The Finnish forward for the Cardiff Devils, Matthias, I don't know, Sointu, has left Cardiff after his 5-week contract with the Devils came to an end, returning home to Finland in hoping of finding a spot on a team in a higher league. The Finnish player arrived 1 game into the Devils' CHL campaign and went on to lead the team in points with 7, a goal and 6 assists after the group stage. And in Elite League action, he scored 16 points in 21 games, regular season games, I would imagine that is. Or is that Challenge Cup as well?
I don't know, really, because according to my spreadsheet, he's got 16 points in total.
Okay, so okay, interesting. Okay.
1 goal and 5 assists in the Champions Hockey League.
Okay, this says 1 goal and 6 assists in the Champions Hockey League.
Okay.
And then it says he has 5 goals and 11 assists in 21 games of Elite League.
I get 4 goals, 6 assists in all domestic competitions.
Okay then.
So I'm not entirely sure.
Somebody's done something wrong somewhere. But anyway,
somebody's wrong. It's probably me.
So Andrew Lord was quoted by saying, "We always knew this was a temporary situation, and that Matthias would be looking at other leagues throughout Europe. We have really benefited from having him with the club. He has been great for us. He came in when we needed someone for injury cover and ended up being an impact player. I don't think the door is ever closed with players like him. You never know when you could see him back in Cardiff for years to come." And then Sointu said himself on his time with the Devils, "I have really enjoyed being a part of the Cardiff Devils. The fans are great and the organisation treat the players very well. Take note, arena teams. I have enjoyed the experience, especially playing the Champions Hockey League, and I wish the team well for the rest of the season." So Chris, Sointu leaving the Cardiff Devils, what do you think?
A bit of a blow to them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Considering the start, he seemed to play better in the Champions Hockey League than he did in the Elite League.
Okay.
So maybe the European style favoured him a bit more.
Yeah.
Which may well be a reason, but I mean he wasn't slow in the Elite League by any means. He was putting up steady numbers. He wasn't light in the lead up, but he was putting steady numbers in.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the best to him. I'll be honest, I didn't realise he was only on a short-term contract, although I probably remembered reading it at the time. And
Absolutely.
Just forgot.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, best of luck to him, really.
Absolutely. So, Sointu leaves the league. It's a bit of a shame, like you said. However, he was brought in as injury cover. So, who was it for? Was it Martin that he was covering for?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
And Joey Martin is obviously a solid player for the Cardiff Devils. So, the fact is they brought in a guy's injury cover that they just wanted to hold down the fort. He ended up being a solid point scorer for the team, especially internationally with the Champions Hockey League. So, I think it worked out quite nicely for everyone involved. Hopefully Sointu finds a spot maybe in the Liga or Finland's second league and goes on to have a great season as well. I'm sure Cardiff Devils fans would be a little disappointed that he didn't stick around, given that he was so good, but it's not the end of the world. They've still got many solid pieces in that organisation, and plus Joey Martin's back and he plays great anyway. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone involved. So yeah, that's all of the news. Let's talk about our players of the week, Chris. I'll let you go first on this one. Our Icing on the Skate players of the week. Remember, guys, we don't actually look at the Elite League ones anymore because they're really hot and cold when they release them, and I don't want to do 2 one week and none the next week. So, Chris, your Icing on the Skate player of the week, please.
Yes, we've just spoken about him, really. I'm going for Julian Talbert, purely because of how he settled in to the Elite League. He came in, it was announced on the Monday. Yep. The paperwork wasn't done for the game on Wednesday, so he didn't play for that. Yep. He arrived on the Thursday, had 2 training sessions, I believe, was put straight onto the top line by Tim Wallace. As I said, almost scored with his first shot of his first or second shift. I think it was second shift. And then got 2 assists in the win last night against Manchester. Whilst he wasn't the highest scoring player on the side, because Panthers really seem to have picked it up recently. I mean, Brett Bulmer got a hat-trick last night.
That's crazy.
He's, after doing nothing for the entire season, he's got 5 in his last 4 games.
And we were
saying
that he might need to be on the way out. So
yeah,
considering he's been suspended twice as well.
Yeah, and then he's got 5 goals in his last 4 games.
Obviously, playing with some better line mates has helped him out.
Evidently. So I went with Julian Talbert purely for how he settled in, and he seems to have hit the ground running.
Okay, perfect. And for my choice, I'm going to go with the current league leader, or the regular season leader, I'm not sure about Challenge Cup, in points, and that is Marc-Olivier Vallerond. Now, the reason I've gone for him once already this season on this podcast. That's because he keeps tearing up the regular season. The reason I've gone for him this week is because they played a home and home against the Guildford Flames this weekend. Game 1, he scored a goal, an assist, was a plus-minus, all 1. So 1-1-1, and he had 2 penalty minutes. Then, in Game 2, he decided to completely flip the script. He was a -1 and had 25 penalty minutes.
Yeah!
So for that, he's my player of the week. He did a bit of everything.
What was it for?
I would imagine...
Cross-checking.
Cross-checking, there you go. So, he was gone from that game. Or no, he just probably had probably sat in the penalty box for a long time. But a goal, an assist, a plus-minus of 0 to finish off the weekend, and 27 penalty minutes in total, including a 25 penalty minute night last night. So, there you go, Valorant. You're welcome, bud. So, have you got a quiz ready for me, Chris, this week?
Of course I've got a quiz.
I thought you would be. Okay, I'm gonna put away all of my stuff. I'm looking at OBS right now, Chris. So, it's time for the EIHL quiz. Easy question, medium question, hard question. Is it all Elite League this week?
It is all Elite League, yeah.
Okay, fine.
This is my favourite part of the podcast.
Because you just like to see me suffer, that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, the easy question, I admit, but I had to do this in a rush. I did this 20 minutes before we came on air, so I don't actually think it's as easy as some before.
Oh, well, that doesn't fill me with much happiness.
Which side has won the most games in overtime/shootout this season?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Chris, you madman. Just because I know they've played a lot of games this year,
right?
I'm gonna go with the Sheffield Steelers.
No.
Oh,
They have won 2.
Okay. Who was it then?
No, the correct answer is the Guildford Flames.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Who beat Fife, Coventry, and Glasgow in overtime, and Cardiff in a shootout.
Okay. Fair play, Guildford. They're having a decent season. They beat Sheffield yesterday. They're having a decent season so far. Okay. So I got that wrong. Great. This bodes well, doesn't it?
This weekend was the first had the first game of the season where a team were completely clean.
Oh, really?
So they took no penalties in the entire game.
Oh,
Name
wow.
the team for me.
Oh, come on, Chris. You're killing me here. So, okay, so it was just one team, obviously.
It was just one team, and they took no penalties.
And that's in the 2 games they played this weekend.
No, it's in one of the games.
Okay, so there was one game.
It was one game. It's the only game this season for any side where they didn't take a penalty. I want you to know the team.
I can't remember who played who.
Well, that's irrelevant. Just pick one of the 10 teams then. I'll put it this way. You know it's not Sheffield.
Oh, wait. So it's not a game where neither team got 0 penalty minutes. No, it's one team.
It's a game where one team took no penalties.
Oh, no, Chris.
Oh, yes.
Oh, no.
I just love the look on his face when I do this bit. Feel free to play along in the chat, because this might take him a while.
Yeah, I'm conscious of the time.
No, we're ahead of time, I think.
The Belfast Giants.
No.
Damn, who was it?
It was the Manchester Storm, who
the
took
Manchester
no penalties
Storm?
against Nottingham.
They're like the most penalised team in the league so far this year, and they didn't. Wow.
They took no penalties.
You know why?
Against.
Oh, are we losing frames? No, we're okay. You know why?
Why?
Gagnon was suspended.
Probably, yeah. This is. I'm just going to check something because I've just had a horrible thought.
Oh, don't tell me you've given me a trick question again.
Hang on. Oh no, we're good.
Oh, damn it.
It's alright. I was looking because now they put like the team stats on.
Yeah.
I do it from. I look at the power plays because
Right.
they were 0 for 0 on the PK, and I wanted to double check that there were no concurrent
Yeah,
penalties.
good call. Yeah.
But no, they were still fine. No penalties at all.
Okay. So I'm currently 0 for 2 today. Perfect.
2, right. You've got.
Let's go
no
0 for 3. No, I've got no chance. No chance whatsoever.
Right. This is kind of a 3-part question, but it's all one. So.
Okay.
This is obviously still Elite League.
So are there like 3 different things I need to know for this one?
Yeah, but you can. One kind of follows the other easily.
Can I get, for each one that I get right, can I get a third of a point?
No, because the hard questions were 3 points, isn't it? So it's a point for each.
Touche. All right then. Okay,
Right.
fine. Okay.
Part 1.
Right.
Which netminder has faced the most shots this season? Part 2. Who does he play for?
Oh.
And part 3. How many within 25 either side?
Oh no! Oh, Chris, why?
This quiz.
Okay. Now, part of me wants to go with like one of the goaltenders with like the best stats in the league because like they have the best stats for a reason. But part of me wants to go for one of the really bad teams this year.
Right.
Because they've probably faced a ton more shots than some of the middling teams.
True.
So, I'm going to go. Damn.
He's forgotten all the netminders now.
I actually have. That's like not. That's not a lie. I can't remember the ones for the teams that I need to know.
Which ones for the teams do you need to know? Which teams are you thinking of?
I'm thinking either Dundee or Manchester.
Right, okay.
But part of me wants to go Carr of the Nottingham Panthers, but he hasn't played all of the games, so.
Well, yeah, that's.
I'm gonna go with the Dundee netminder. What's the Dundee Stars netminder name?
Alex Clerc.
Yes, because he faces a ton of shots like every game.
Right.
And I believe he had like 2 games where he had a plus 91% save percentage this weekend. So I was looking at it before.
No, this weekend he was 86% and 78%.
This is exactly my point. He's facing a ton of shots, Chris. He plays for Dundee. Dundee are short benched. So I'm going to go with Alex Leclerc.
Yeah.
Of the Dundee Stars.
And how many?
And
within 25 either side.
Within 25. How many games have they played this year?
Well, this is including obviously Challenge Cup as well.
Yes.
So he's played 21.
So he's played 21 games. Let's say they faced 30 shots a game on average, which I think is being generous to the Dundee Stars. 30 times 20 is about 600, right?
600, yep.
I'm going to go Alex Leclerc of the Dundee Stars faced 600 shots.
Oh, 2 out of 3.
Oh, really?
2 out of 3. It was Alex Leclerc at the Dundee Stars.
Okay.
You were right there, but he has faced 712.
Wow!
shots.
That's so bad,
has-
Dundee!
He's saved 633 of them.
Bloody
So he
hell.
has let in, what's that, 79 goals.
Oh, in 21 games. Oh,
He has
Leclerc.
a save percentage of 88.9 and a goals against average of 3.76.
Ouch.
The worst game that he has had in terms of save percentage was actually the only game where Omar Pasha pulled him.
Okay.
He was 77.78%. That was 21 saves from 27 attempts, and then he got pulled. Brython Priest went in.
Okay.
His best performance in terms of saving shots was that game we mentioned ages ago now against Belfast, where he faced 68.
Yes, I remember.
and he saved 65 of them. But this weekend, he only faced 22 on Saturday and saved 19, and then he only faced 19 on Sunday and let in 4 for 78.95%.
I see. Okay. So
not bad, really.
2 out of 3.
I was
I'm happy
thinking
with that.
we're gonna see. Well, hang on. Dundee have played more games than anybody else, so I'll go with them. And
I just thought because they suck. So.
well, sorry, Dundee.
Yeah, I mean, but like they're short benched. It's okay.
That's true.
Somebody in the league needs to be the whipping boy. Edinburgh and Milton Keynes aren't here anymore. It's Dundee's turn. All right.
True.
Let's move on to the play under review. We don't really have too much to talk about with this, but I want to make sure that it's talked about before we move on because we're almost at the hour mark already. The Challenge Cup. So, just to run you through the standings once again, because...
And then I'll explain what's happening.
We've got one Challenge Cup game left to play in Group B, correct?
There is one Challenge Cup game left to play in Group B. That's on Sunday night.
Which won't affect the standings. So,
not the standings, but it will affect something.
Yes, which Chris will get into in a moment. So,
which I will. So
Group
you do
A
the standings, and I'll explain.
Yes, Group A. 4 teams play 6 games in the group. Dundee top it with 10 points. Glasgow second with 6 points. Belfast third, surprisingly, with 5 points, and Fife in fourth with 4 points. That means Fife is done. They gone.
Yep.
Group B. The only group that has one more game left to play. Guildford in first with 11 points. They've got one more game left to play. Cardiff have played all of their games, 9 points for second. And then third and last in the group, on 6 points in 7 games, Coventry. So, this weekend you said it's Guildford-Coventry to see who wins that last game in the group. Fine.
Yep, and that is in Coventry, sorry.
There you go. Then Group C, been finalised, 3 teams again. Sheffield and Nottingham both had 10 points, but Sheffield take first place in the group, Nottingham take second, and in third place with 6 points in 8 games, the Manchester Storm. So, that means that the Coventry Blaze and the Manchester Storm are going to play this play-in game. Chris, explain to us the situation right now with the Challenge Cup.
Okay, so as you said, so Dundee topped Group A, and it was clear a couple of games ago that they could not be caught in terms of deciding who was seeded 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Because the seedings are done on points percentage.
Yes.
And they've won 5 out of their 6, and they couldn't be caught by anybody.
Yeah.
So they were definitely going to be seeded number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then the top team in Group B and the top team in Group C were going to be seeded 2 and 3.
Yep.
That is the Guildford Flames seeded in second because they got more points. Even when they've got a game to go, they've got more points than Sheffield.
Yep.
So it's it's Dundee first, Guildford second, Sheffield third.
Yeah.
Right. So because of limited ice availability, Dundee were allowed to pick their quarter-final opponents early, because otherwise, if they waited till the draw, which I'll get onto in a moment, they and the team they were facing would only have had 2 days' notice.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they wouldn't have been able to sell tickets or anything.
No, especially a team like Dundee.
So Dundee were allowed to pick early to give both them and the side they were playing plenty of notice that they were going to do it.
Okay.
They have picked Glasgow, who came second in Group A.
And they played very well against. Yeah.
No real surprise because it's the other Scottish team, so it's less travelling, better attendances because, of course, Fife are out.
Yeah.
So that's already been decided. Then we move into this play-in match and the rest of the quarter-final draw.
Yeah.
The play-in match is taking place on Wednesday, November the 20th.
Yep.
On Free Sports. And we know that it is taking place between Coventry and Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one thing that we're waiting on this final game this weekend is whether it will be played in Coventry or whether it will be played in Manchester.
Correct.
Now, it's very simple. If Coventry lose in regulation, it's in Manchester. Anything else, it's in Coventry.
Okay.
So that's quite simple. The draw is then after the play-in game. I'm presuming they're going to do that live on Free Sports as well.
Would make sense.
So Guildford will play second, pick second,
Okay.
and they will have a choice of either Belfast, Cardiff,
Nottingham.
Nottingham,
And the winner of the play-in round.
And the winner of the play-in.
Yeah.
They'll have a choice of 4. Sheffield will then have a choice of the same.
All of them but one.
But one. And then Nottingham, unless they are picked, because they are the 4th seed,
okay,
regardless of what happens, because they have more points than Cardiff.
Yeah.
I believe that's right. So Nottingham will get the home advantage, but they will have whoever's left.
Yeah, because essentially that'll be the last quarter-final bracket, but they'll get home ice advantage. Okay.
Yes, so they don't get to actually pick.
Okay, so there's no point making predictions of the draw, is there? Because we don't know who the winner of the play-in round is.
No, but I mean, Dundee have got Glasgow.
Yep.
So Guildford, I would suggest, aren't going to take. Although they've done well against Cardiff, I suspect that Guildford would probably go for the winner of the play-in game.
To be honest, I think the Flames will either take the Panthers because they've had a bit of a rocky month this last month. They've heated up a lot recently. We've got to see if that continues, obviously. This is the point that I wanted to make about this. Like, I think Nottingham is either going to play Guildford or they're going to play Sheffield. You know?
Well, they've got to. Well, I mean, I think a lot of that, from Guildford's point of view, is how do Nottingham play in their doubleheader against Belfast this weekend?
Yeah.
And then the Continental Cup, which is
Good
next
point.
weekend.
Good point. Yeah.
Because they've got that coming up, and they aren't. I found it interesting. They're not flying out to Denmark until the Thursday, and their first game's the Friday.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that from Guildford, because Panthers. I mean, if you were going to talk to us, a couple of weeks ago, I'd say, yeah, Guildford take the Panthers. Now that the Panthers have won 4 out of the last 5 in regulation,
yeah,
if they keep that going,
especially in the Challenge Cup as well, yeah,
I'm not sure Guildford would take them.
I think Sheffield would, though. Absolutely.
Think if Panthers are still available, I think Sheffield would take them.
And then it's going to be Belfast, Cardiff as the
and then
final.
It would be Cardiff who get the home ice advantage.
Yeah.
In the Cardiff would get the home ice advantage, and they would be left with Belfast. I don't think anybody's going to pick Belfast.
No.
For the reason of
they're kind of dominating the Elite League.
A, they're dominating the Elite League. B, they've won the last 5 in a row.
Yep.
C, these quarterfinals are going to be midweek games, and who wants to go to Belfast midweek?
Fair.
So I don't think anyone's going to pick Belfast.
And
I think Belfast are going to get.
Yeah. Also, if Belfast and Cardiff go up against each other, wait, who was in the finals last year? It was Belfast, Guildford, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Guildford made it to the final, and everyone supported Guildford.
That's true. Yeah. So Belfast Cardiff is obviously a finals matchup from 2 years ago. So it kind of knocks out one of the. It gives a chance for a Dundee or a Guildford to maybe make it to the finals. If a team like Cardiff or Belfast is knocked out, it leaves one of these, for want of a better term, weaker teams to come up and maybe have their chance. So
yeah, and then the semi-finals are, so everyone's going to get seeded once it's finished.
Yeah.
So it's Dundee 1, Guildford 2, Sheffield 3, Nottingham 4.
Belfast 5, Cardiff 6.
No, hang on. No. Yeah, Nottingham 4, Cardiff 5, Glasgow 6.
Yeah.
Belfast
7.
It depends, because if Coventry win their game,
I would imagine it. I would imagine though, with the play-in goes the final seed though, right?
That would make sense. So Belfast 7, Coventry / Manchester 8, and then it's highest versus lowest. So it would be Dundee versus Coventry Manchester.
Okay, interesting. So that actually makes a little bit of sense to me.
Now that it's finished pretty much. It's a lot easier than when I had a giant spreadsheet last year.
Damn right.
It's just the format of it, in the sense of they've played the same number of games as they would have in 2 groups of 5.
Yeah.
and you've got teams playing each other 4 times home, 4 times away. Some teams are playing 6 games, some are playing 8, and it's...
Yeah.
I mean, they fiddle with it every year to try and get it right.
They never do, though. Anyway, let's finish off the Challenge Cup.
It used to be 2 groups of 5.
Yeah, but then they decided to change it because Elite League. So that's it for the Elite League today. I think we covered all the important stuff. If we have something that we forgot to mention, leave it for us for the final call. Or the last call, I should mention. But now let's move across the pond to North America to talk about the National Hockey League. Yeah! Chris and I are used to talking about the National Hockey League a little bit more now. So, let's go through the NHL standings as they stand right now. So, the Washington Capitals in first place in the National Hockey League, 25 points in 16 games. The Boston Bruins, yes, second place in the NHL with 22 points in 13 games. They play the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight, so keep an eye out on that. Pasternak will probably score another 12 goals. The Edmonton Oilers, interestingly, in third place, and St. Louis in fourth place, both on 21 points in 15 games. Then we have the Islanders, who are on a 9-game winning streak. The Vancouver Canucks and the Buffalo Sabres all on 20 points to take 5th, 6th and 7th. Then on 19 points, we have the Carolina Hurricanes and the Anaheim Ducks, who we will mention in a little bit more detail later. They're having a very good start to the season, considering they've kind of ripped apart quite a lot of their roster. Don't have a lot of their veterans on the team. Then we have Nashville, Colorado, Florida, Vegas, and Calgary taking 10th place down to 14th place, all with 18 points. 17 points on the season goes to Arizona, Pittsburgh, and Toronto, with a 15, 16, and 17th place in the league. Montreal and Winnipeg both have 16 points to take 18th and 19th in the league. Dallas have 15 points for 20th in the league. A very slow start to the season for them. They're on a 3-game winning streak now, so fair play to them. The Philadelphia Flyers and Tampa Bay both have 14 points. Tampa Bay, a slow start to the year as well. 21st and 22nd in the league at the moment. The Columbus Blue Jackets with 13 points in 14 games to take 23rd. On 11 points, we have the New York Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks. The Rangers only playing 11 games, though, so they're 2-3 games behind most of the other teams in the league, just saying. Then 10 points, we have the New Jersey Devils and the LA Kings, 26th and 27th. Then on 9 points, we have Minnesota, San Jose, and Detroit for 28th, 29th, and 30th. San Jose have had an awful start to the year. Lost 5 straight. Why did I pick Martin Jones? And then in final place, of course, the Ottawa Senators, who are playing the Rangers tonight, and I'm hoping the Rangers win. But anyway, so...
Yes. Oh, well, that answers your question, Blaze_Scream, who says who will win, Rangers or Senators?
We're better. And we've managed to beat...
Not by much.
So the reason I say this, we managed to beat Buffalo, who are kind of on the bit of a downward turn now, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Nashville Predators. Those two teams have some pretty stacked rosters, right? Managed to beat those
beat
three.
Boston, though, did you?
Oh, we didn't. But then again, it's Boston. Nobody beats Boston nowadays, which is
That's
good for us. So they've beaten those 3 teams, and in the last 2 games against Tampa and Nashville, they've played 3 defensemen under 21 years old, or 21 years old and under. Considering defensemen don't really even, break it into the league until, 22, 23, fair play to the Rangers. They know when to play their young guys, and they're doing a great job. But anyway, let's look through some short news bits. Just a couple of interesting points that I wanted to mention. Every single podcast talks about the NHL. We have our own one. But with this one, I just want to mention a few smaller points. The first one I think is very important. Ottawa Senators forward Scott Sabourin has been released from hospital after having a fractured nose and collapsing on the ice after a collision with Boston Bruins' David Backes during their game on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday night. So,
yeah, Saturday.
It was a really sort of distressing scene, to be honest. Wasn't very nice to watch at all. We talked about it a lot on our Brits on Bruins podcast, which if you haven't listened to, you should. It's great. But it's just...
Yeah, if you want that in detail, go and listen to that.
Yes, we've talked about it in...
We did about 10 minutes on
it. We talked about it in a lot more detail. So, Scott Sabourin being released from hospital. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's great that he's been released.
Absolutely.
He had a smile on his face on the pictures that he put on social media, I saw. and I think it's the fact that he can be released so quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, we recorded Brits on Bruins yesterday.
Yes. Which went out today. Yeah.
Yeah, is a credit to the medical staff there who treated him so quickly, then the hospital staff and everything else, and hopefully he'll be able to get back on the ice before too long, but not too quickly that he's not fully there.
Well, by the looks of it, the NHL article on it says that he's got a fractured nose. Other than that, it doesn't say anything else.
Or just if he just wears a full cage, then.
Yeah, which could be a possibility. Or they might leave him out a game or two just in case there's a concussion protocol or anything, considering he went out cold. So we'll have to see what happens with Scott Sabourin. There hasn't been any mention as to whether he's playing tonight against the Rangers. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Also important to mention, David Backes is still out of the lineup with an upper body injury. So both players, Sabourin definitely got the worst of it, but Backes wasn't perfectly healthy from that hit either. So great that Sabourin's okay. That's all we want, players to be okay. Then another short bit, I just wanted to mention that Calgary Flames forward, which sounds strange to say, Calgary Flames forward Milan Lucic announced yesterday was suspended for 2 games for basically sucker punching the Columbus Blue Jackets forward Cole Sherwood. He sucker punches him in the face. He gets 2 games. I mean, there's not really much else you can say about that if you take a look at the replay. Have you seen it, Chris?
No, I haven't, to be honest.
Which is fine. I've just summed it up for you. Basically, behind the net, goes and sucker punches him in the face, not even anywhere near the puck. So it's kind of like I think they have a hit more towards the benches, like 20 seconds before this hit, and then he goes skates round, sees a guy there, punches him. He had his glove on, so it wasn't as hard of a punch as it could have been, but still, it got done for roughing. I'd say punching, but, that's just me. Then the next thing we want to talk about, Ryan Getzlaf of the Anaheim Ducks, the first player to play 1,000 NHL games, all with the Anaheim Ducks franchise. I should say Anaheim Ducks / Mighty Ducks of Anaheim franchise. He spent his entire 15-year career with Anaheim. He played against the Chicago Blackhawks, I believe, last night. Last night. And we got 1,000 NHL games. He became a captain of the Anaheim Ducks when he was 25 years old. He, of course, helped win the Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks in 2007. Chris, what do you think about him being the first player in Ducks history to play all 1,000 games with the Ducks?
You don't really see that nowadays because, people tend to move about.
Yep.
There's not many people who have been a one-team player.
Not unless they're like first overall picks and stuff.
Yeah, and they are on like a 10-year contract.
And they're
money.
Like scoring points every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Other than that, obviously there's lots of people that have played 1,000 NHL games.
Yes.
But nevertheless, it's a really nice achievement and a good milestone because there's a lot of hockey players who would dream of playing in the NHL, playing a season in the NHL, let alone playing 1,000 games.
Playing just one game, playing just a shift,
Yeah, exactly.
So, I believe out of all of the players that have ever played in the National Hockey League, there's a group of about 250 to 300 that have played 1,000 NHL games. Feel free to correct me with that on chat. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but if you get it up for me and let me know.
I can get it.
Just in case I got that wrong, I don't want to misquote it off by a lot. I know it's not a very big amount. But anyway, so that's pretty cool. Ryan Getzlaf, of course, has been a solid player for the Ducks for the last 15 years. Starting to slow down a little bit, but, I feel like it's quite impressive. You can't complain with a guy like Ryan Getzlaf. He's done everything for that franchise. He's been the captain of the franchise for the last decade, roughly. So, there you go.
Okay, how many did you say?
I said 250 to 300.
336.
Okay, so I wasn't far off.
Soon to become 337 because Corey Perry is only 3 games away.
Yes, and he's now with the Stars. He's played almost all of his games with the Ducks.
And Jeff Carter is 6 games away.
Oh, of course, Jeff Carter. I forgot about those LA Kings.
Mikko Koivu's only 13 games away.
We're going to have a few hit 1,000 this year, yeah.
Yep. Vlasic's 20 away.
Okay.
Pavelski's 21.
Okay.
Alexander Steen is 22. So, yeah, we've got quite a few coming up.
Interesting. And maybe back-to-back in San Jose as well. If you've got Vlasic and Pavelski. Oh, no, Pavelski's with the Stars now, isn't he? So we're going to have a few with the Stars maybe this year. Anyway, let's move on to the penultimate piece of news from the NHL I want to talk about. The Winter Classic. The jerseys are now being announced for the upcoming Winter Classic with the 2 unconventional yet brilliant choices, I would argue. The Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators, which I think is a brilliant Winter Classic matchup. 2 teams that have been deserving it for a while, if you ask me. The Nashville Predators recently revealed their retro-inspired jersey for the Winter Classic, which is very reminiscent of, for a bit of Nashville hockey history for those of you guys. I didn't know this until they released this, but I think it's a really interesting nod. So there was a team in the 1960s called the Dixie Flyers of the Eastern League, which played in Nashville in the 1960s. It was the first pro hockey team in Nashville, and they had very similar jerseys to the ones that the Predators are going to wear at the Winter Classic. So they very much made like a clear nod to the first hockey team in Nashville, which I think is great. And I think the jersey, there's been a bit of discussion about whether the jerseys look nice. I think they look solid. I love that retro look. The retro look is really nice.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's because I'm going on like a real hockey binge recently, like hockey history binge, but I love it.
You seem to be, yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks really nice. I think it looks great. So that's the last thing of that. And the one last NHL news piece I want to mention is, just remember, guys, later on this week, I believe it's Friday night, Saturday, roughly time, towards the end of the week, we have the Nhl Global Series between the Buffalo Sabres and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are playing at the Ericsson Arena, I believe, in Sweden. So that'll be a European-friendly timed game, which is nice. I won't complain. So yeah, they're playing overseas again in Sweden. We obviously had the Flyers and the Blackhawks out in... Oh, where do they play? They played in the Czech Republic, I want to say. I'm probably wrong on that, so don't...
Sorry, I'm completely... who are you on about?
The Global Series game with the Blackhawks and the Flyers. Was that in the Czech Republic? Was it in Prague?
It was in Prague,
yeah, it was in Prague, so yeah. I am right. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen very often, but I am. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Just thought I'd mention that. Now, Brits abroad, Chris. Take us through all of the Brits that are abroad. I recently just ordered a autographed Liam Kirk card from the Peterborough Petes, and it's going to look great. Just thought I'd let you know.
Okay, well, let's start with Liam Kirk. We always do. He had a 1+2 this week.
Okay.
So he has a total of 10 goals and 11 assists in 16 games.
Doing very well.
So 21 points in 16 games is not bad at all.
Nope.
Third in the team in points and assists. Second in the team in goals. So he's doing well.
Perfect. Good to know.
Let's go to Tomo, who isn't doing well. 1 win and 1 overtime defeat. So the Schweiniger Wild Wings still bottom of the DEL, but they do have a game in hand over the teams above them.
Okay.
Pete Russell, who's just had a 3-year extension. He signed a 3-year extension with Freiburg.
Which I thought was incredibly premature, but fair enough.
Was 13 games in, and he signs a 3-year extension.
They obviously like him a lot.
2 wins this week.
Okay.
They are 7th in the DEL2, effectively the top spot of like the wild card round of the playoffs.
Okay.
So not doing too badly. And then we've got Corey Nielsen and Mike Hammond and Rob Farmer, all of course with the Lausitzer Fuchs.
Yep.
2 defeats this week, unfortunately, which has seen the side slip to 9th. And they've played more games than those around them, but the middle of DEL2 is very tight at the moment.
Okay.
Hammond with 1 goal. It was the only goal in their 5-1 defeat. And that's all that happened for both him and Farmer this week. So not the best of weeks for them.
Nope, but Robert Farmer also signing
Also signed a contract.
contract to stay with the team until the end of the season because he was on a short-term 1-month contract. They seem to be happy with him. He seems to be happy with them, so he's staying, and he's been quite productive for the team. So fair play to him. This is probably going to be the best chance he has to play international hockey, in terms of not in a GB sweater and not in the Elite League. So take it, I say. Why not? So there you go.
I've just remembered some other news, considering it's only 8:15. So we'll talk about that. I don't know when you want to talk about that.
You can do it now if you want, because otherwise I'm just going to go to fantasy. So
that's fine. It's a press release I got yesterday.
Okay.
From Ice Hockey UK.
Oh, okay.
And it's the dates and schedule confirmed for Great Britain under-18 women's participation in the World Championship Division 1 Group B.
Oh, okay, cool.
It takes place at the Janów Arena in Katowice in Poland.
Nice.
From the 2nd to the 8th of January. So Great Britain women's under-18s will come up against Poland, Austria, China, Korea and Norway. The first game, these are all kind of nice games in terms of our time because it's only Poland.
Yep.
So we've got Thursday the 2nd of January against China at midday our time. Friday the 3rd, midday our time again against Korea. Then we've got on Sunday the 5th, Norway at 3:30 our time. Tuesday the 7th, Austria at 3:30 our time. And then it rounds off facing the hosts on Wednesday the 8th of January at 7 p.m. our time, the final game of the tournament.
Sounds good. Well, good luck to the GB women then. Let's hope they have a good showing in that tournament. I'm sure we'll talk about it more when the tournament takes place and keep you guys updated.
I just remembered it. It came through while I was commentating on the Lions last night.
Well, there
and I
you
thought,
go.
I know.
So, before we finish up with last call, let's just quickly go through fantasy. So I'm getting rid of our ugly mugs.
Oh.
While I bring up, where is it? It's here. Boop. So, I lost because my team sucks this year. I'm 1-4. So I lost 81-40. Then the Thrashers beat Cardiff Block 13, 71-68. Then the Sucker Punchers beat the Clappers, 77-26. The Wildcards beat the Swarm, 53-46. The Lions lost again. What a surprise. The Raiders beat the Lions.
I'm just living up to what we actually do in real life.
Brad Marchand with 63 points, though. 74-36. The Netters beat the Outlaws, 107-105, so very close. Jagardan beat the Jets, 99-90. McLafferty beat the Labrador Boys, or whatever that is, 68-63. Missing Teeth beat the Trapezoids, 75-49. And the Spitfire beat the Angry Beavers, 74-59. Now, the matchups for this week. November 4th to November 10th. Ooh, I did press it, didn't I? I think I did. Good. Let's just wait for it to load. Here we go. So, I'm playing Chris. I'm going to win. Sorry. The Sucker Punchers.
My squad then.
Yeah, me too. The Sucker Punchers
no,
are playing the Thrashers.
You leave yours as it is.
Block 13 playing the Flames. The Clappers playing the Swarm. The Wildcards playing the Raiders. Jagardan playing Max's Outlaws. The Netters playing the Labrador Boys. The Jets playing the Trapezoids. McLafferty playing the Angry Beavers. And the Missing Teeth playing the Spitfires. So, that's all the fantasy hockey that you need to know this week. Chris and I kind of suck this year, which is the exact opposite of what happened last year. So
yeah, what happened last year? We pretty much, I mean, without saying we dominated it last year.
We were the only guys that really changed our lineups, though. So
we're the only guys that changed our lineups. I won every single week bar one, and then it was you against me in the final, and I won.
Yes, because I lost a game in the regular season as well, I believe.
Yeah, I think you lost 2 in the regular season because you lost to me and then one other, which is
why
you're right.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And then we came up against each other in the final. No, I thought it was the semi-final we came up against
Yeah,
each other.
I think it was the semi-final, then I lost. Yeah,
you lost, and then I won the trophy, and then basically I've won it once and retired, a bit like
pretty
Nico
much
Rosberg.
So there you go. I just want to give another brief mention now that we're at the end of the podcast to my Movember page. As you have seen throughout the podcast, you can't see it right now. I have a baby face again. and I look like a thumb and a child, a baby thumb to be precise. I'm trying to raise £100 for Movember to help with a lot of big health and mental and physical health issues that men face on a daily basis. Prostate cancer, testicular cancer, poor mental health. Of course, male suicide is a bit of a massive problem at the moment. Of course, there's plenty of problems for everybody and everything, but if we can maybe help a little bit with one of them, then we're doing something good. So I'd love to raise £100 to look like a thumb, so please help me out, guys. It's www.mobro.co/oddmanrush. The link is in the what's it called? The
live
stream.
chat.
Yep, I will put it up there once again, just in case anybody's interested. Donate as much or as little as you can. The fact that you are actually helping out is great. I'm going to be doing a live stream probably this weekend. Maybe playing some NHL 20 or something. Having a bit of a chill live stream to try and raise some money. So I have just sent the link off there again. There's another link in order to take a look at it. But there you go. So if you can help me raise some money for a good cause, that would be awesome. So now we are back to the wonderful last call. Yay! So if you have any questions, we've got about 5 or 10 minutes. If you've got any questions about the Elite League, the NHL, anything we didn't cover, anything we should cover, then let us know. I'm going to be recording another video.
Says,
Go for it.
how are you, my UK friends?
I am good, thank you.
Yes, good.
I watched a lot of Netflix today and had a good time. I spent all weekend editing, and I thought I'd take the day off.
I worked from home, painting and
there you go.
stuff. You've answered Blazers, who says who will win, Rangers or Senators.
Rangers, please.
Julian Talbert says it's just. Sorry, I probably butchered that.
It's okay.
It just feels so weird hearing two British dudes talking about hockey. Lol. I kind of like that though. Cheers from Quebec in Canada.
Hey, Quebec! I love Quebec.
Never been.
Oh,
Canada's on my bucket list.
Montreal is lovely. It's one of the most chill cities I've ever been to. It's got like the North American like customer service with a European like walking around feel. You know, like how chill European cities are, right?
Well, I've only been to Paris.
Okay.
Which was not chill at all. Oh, I know, tell a lie. I've been to Lisbon, which was just the most relaxed place ever.
It feels like that in the centre of Montreal.
Yeah,
it's
like,
really
nice.
nice.
You just walk around and like everyone's just like, I'll get there when I get there. I don't care. And then you compare it to like London when you get barged out the way on the tube.
Yeah.
I must get this train. There is not another one in 1 minute time. I must get this one.
I do feel that though whenever I go to London. It's like, get out of my way. I'm going somewhere. So any other questions?
Seems to be.
Here?
I'll give you like a minute or so to come through.
Go for it.
So there's the final Challenge Cup game this week.
Okay.
And then Panthers are in European action next weekend, the 15th, 16th, 17th in the Continental Cup.
Okay.
They need to finish in the top 2 of their group of 4 to progress into the final, which, as far as I can make out, could be hosted in Nottingham, although Neil Black says it couldn't because there's another event on. According to the Motorpoint Arena, I can't see another event on,
okay.
unless something like pops up that they know about that hasn't actually been, publicised yet. But according to the Motorpoint Arena, there's not an event on.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I guess we will, yeah. And I mean, I don't think the only thing that could be on at that point is a Panthers
Disney on Ice. Disney on Ice.
No, that's for the playing game.
We all want Disney on Ice.
Yeah, and I mean, rather presumptuously, the Panthers have been given that weekend off in case they are in the final.
Oh, okay.
So they aren't in league action then, which I suppose actually, I say presumptuously, it makes it easier rather than having to rearrange fixtures.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll do. Have we still got no questions? No. Okay,
nope.
I'll do what's coming up this week then.
Sure, go for it.
So on the Saturday, we've got that final game between Guildford and Coventry. It's Saturday, not Sunday. My apologies.
Okay.
Everything else is in league because there's no Challenge Cup.
Yep.
So on Saturday, everything at 7 o'clock. It's Cardiff against Sheffield, Nottingham against Belfast, Glasgow against Fife, and Dundee against Manchester. And on Sunday, all league, it's Panthers against Giants at 4, Blazers against Clan, Flyers against Stars, and Storm against Steelers at 5:30. And at 6 o'clock, it's Flames against Devils.
Okay, awesome. So
that's your.
In terms of the channel, I'll probably do a live stream at the weekend. Probably play some NHL 20 franchise mode or something. I haven't actually touched it very much. I've still got like 3 hours on my EA Access trial. That's how little I've played NHL this year. Not gonna lie, haven't missed it one bit. I'll probably get a video. I have got a video in the works for probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday, Thursday time.
Getting a thumbnail request soon.
But yeah, actually, I probably will need your help on this one. I'll give you a little bit of a teaser. It's to do with the NHL Draft. It's not a draft day disaster or anything like that. It's a unique video related to the draft. But I find this interesting. Chris, I'll tell you after the after the podcast finishes. But yeah, I think we can finish up there. We managed to be pretty much on time. We had a bit of a technical problem at the beginning, but other than that, it worked out perfectly. So, thank you very much for watching this episode of the Icing on the Skate podcast. We'll see you again next week, I guess. Go and listen to Brits on Bruins. Go and donate to my Movember page. Make me looking like this worth it, please. If I don't raise any money by the end of the month, I'm not going to be very happy because I look like an idiot. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again next week. But for now, have a good one, folks. Goodbye.